I'm gonna have my chat on chat, all right?
Perfect.
Okay, so we're recording. Welcome everybody, and Chad, why don't you go ahead and take it away, bud?
So first of all, thanks for joining. Our numbers are a little down, and I knew we might slip a little bit here in July because we've been away from the fields, but we thought we'd have kind of a fun one tonight, not as much instruction, but just some soccer chat. So reached out to, I'll say old friend because, well, all of us on this call except for maybe Cody are old. Chris Hauser is our guest tonight. If you don't know him, I'll give you a brief introduction on him. He grew up in the Sioux Falls area, graduated from Washington in 91, same year I did, 91. Not only was he a standout soccer player, he was a damn good basketball player as well. Good athlete. I've played the game for a long time, maybe not well for a long time, but definitely one of the most talented players I had the opportunity to step on the field, both with and against. Pretty magical. He'll tell you more, but he took his talents out of South Dakota, won a Division II NCAA championship, played with the U.S. men's B team, did a little stint in a league called Major League Soccer with the Tampa Bay Mutiny. And Tony, if you'll share my screen real quick, I'll set the stage with this here.
Folks, it's time to get old school. So you can feel cool.
Yeah, you guys
Baby. Baby. Yeah.
Chad, you got to share your own screen. Chad. All right, stand by. I'm gonna try to get a hold of Chad. Tell him to share his own screen. I can't do it for him.
He might be frozen.
I hope whatever it is, it's good. Hey, Chad.
Hey, yes.
That was fantastic, but no one saw it because you have to share your own screen.
Well,
But we thoroughly enjoy the soundtrack.
And that song is awesome, actually.
Sounded
All
great.
right.
You were smiling. So you have to click share your own screen and then do it again, or we can.
well, let me just back up because Messman just sent me an email here saying we need to resend him the link. Hold on. So good thing I didn't stand up or pick my nose or anything, huh?
I would have enjoyed it personally.
Yeah.
I made fun of you.
All right. Well, so let me do this again here. And let me just share my screen
There
then.
you go.
But along with doing that, I will just preempt this by saying that Chris Hauser did lead the league in the MLS one year in fouls committed. So now with that being said, I will let you, can you see my screen now?
Nice.
Why is it giving the desktop? What's it telling me? It's giving me all sorts of stuff here, Tony.
Yep, you got to find the screen that your video is on and
I
share
did
that
telling me
screen.
to use system. So can you see his picture now?
No. What link? Send me the link and I can do it.
I'll send you the link.
Let me see if I can.
Is it the video that's in your email today?
No.
Okay.
I'm
Which company is sending it to?
going to send it to the chat on here.
Okay, do that. Yeah, this has got to be good if we're going to this much work to get it. Okay, stand by.
Practice.
This better be worth the wait, Landis.
Hey, it's not my playing, so it is worth the wait. No one would want to see that.
Well, folks, it's time.
All right, stand by. You got it?
Man, I like the hair.
Here we go.
Time to kick it old school. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
All right, good stuff. You seem nice to me.
I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why I was a coach taker. I've just never understood that.
Especially at a competitive level, you still have that drive.
So to finish my intro, I sent you the link so you can watch it on your own time in the chat. He led the league in fouls one year. He got the nickname The Undertaker. I'm going to just let my friend introduce himself a little bit here, Mr. Chris Hauser.
Well, I'm glad you reached out, Chad. It's a lot of I'm always proud being from South Dakota, and it was really fun being able to play in Sioux Falls and then spend a season out in Rapid City. I moved out to Rapid City for that season because that team that Chad refers to was probably the strongest team for a while. I mean, I remember playing in Sioux Falls, and the better of the Sioux Falls teams was when Limmer and his group was playing. and I was able to play up with them. And then this particular group, Ronnie Tice was running it, and my dad happened to live in Rapid City, so I spent 2 years. So, kind of just a quick background of who I am, if you don't know. Graduated in 91, like Chad said, from Sioux Falls, went to the old Washington. There wasn't a whole lot of soccer, as you all know, back then. So we played when we could. The thing that was interesting is I went to a few camps and got picked up by a college program, and Ray Reed, who's the head coach of UConn, was my coach at Southern Connecticut State. He took the UConn job in '96, and I went into the MLS in '97. A lot of stuff happened between the time I left South Dakota and where I am now. Graduated high school, didn't go to college right away, got picked up to go to Europe, played in Belgium for a while as an attacking player. They play different there, right? They play the big guys up top, we hold the ball, we lay it off, and then they serve it in, and I was good in the air. I played all different positions, picked up on the U.S. national B teams, played 3 years with them, actually was captain for a season or two with John Ellinger, where we went and won the bronze medal in the World University Games. This guy with Clint Mathis, Josh Wolf, your household names right now. Those kind of guys are the guys I talk to quite a bit, especially transitioning into reffing. So I played a lot of soccer. I've had good times and bad times. Soccer's been fun, and then it's also been not fun. It's different when you're a pro. College was fun. You get all the accolades. So I played a lot of soccer. I've been trying to come back to South Dakota quite a bit. It just I haven't really found a sticking point there, and it's actually one of my most frustrating parts of being a 47-year-old man right now with kids is I haven't been able to come back to my home state, not for a lack of trying. So I'm hoping this is kind of an opportunity for me to take some of my soccer knowledge and help referees and help players and coaches and all of that, because the opportunities I've had, there's guys around me that help me get there, and I could go on the list. So I live in Scottsdale, Arizona now, so it's a big market. I probably know 80% of the MLS coaches. One of my close friends is Alan Chapman. I think he was on your show or your podcast for your meetings. Him and I actually told him I was going to be on, and he's doing VAR tonight for a game. I think one of my goals here, just since it's kind of on the front here, me talking, is I started this podcast, Soccer IQ, and COVID kind of made me buy a microphone, right? Because we can't go out and play. And I've noticed my own kids, they're not soccer educated. And to be honest with you, now that I've joined the referee and we'll kind of focus on that, my playing experience has helped me, I can see where I can add value to referees just because it's tough. Like, I didn't really understand how hard it was to be a referee. I remember the first game I did, I was watching the game. I think we've probably all done that, right? You're like, oh, good. Oh, wait, I got to call that. And you get caught up in the game and you forget you're actually in charge and managing the game. So I won't get too far into it, but played a lot of soccer, played for some of the best college coaches in the country, played for some of the best coaches, played in the big stadiums, played in Palermo. One of my highlights was playing against Italy in Palermo. There were 75,000 people. I was actually frightened to death. That was probably the most scary and most cool and scary moment in my soccer career, because we were just 22 guys and thousands and thousands of fans that hated our guts. I can talk about that later, but my goal right now is I don't play anymore. I just want to ref. And one of my goals is to make sure that I take some of my resources, and when there are questions on how to better the game, it's going to start with referees. There's not enough of us. There's not enough of guys like me that play at the highest level and then come down and, been willing to listen to parents. I don't really have a problem with parents because I think they're funny. I think parents make me laugh because a lot of them are living vicariously for their kids, and that's a whole nother subject. But that's who I am. I know the game. I played the game. I don't know everything about reffing. I'm not ever going to know enough about reffing. I'm not aspiring to be the next level ref. I'm too old anyway. I just enjoy the youth part of it, and hopefully I can start participating in South Dakota soccer, because the clubs are not welcoming me for some reason. It's odd that they're not utilizing my services and my skill sets to help some of these young players that have opportunities to play at the next level. You're not using it. I helped Limmer at one point. His son wanted to try a few things, and I got him a trial, and just to have somebody talking on these kids' behalf is a big deal, because they don't know how to relate to the coaches. They're intimidating. So it's been unique. So hopefully this referee thing can be something that gives me an opportunity to be a sounding board for you guys as referees, and you guys can help me. And every market's a little different. I mean, I will say this, reffing in Scottsdale, we don't have to deal with, I don't know how you guys do it, because I've never been rained on yet. I don't wear cleats. I wear shoes. It's always nice weather. If it rains, they shut the fields down. So we never ref in bad weather. So it's, I just thought about that. I was like, I don't think I've ever had to deal with like wind or rain or a thunderstorm or anything. So, but that's who I am. That's, I have 3 kids, a wife. I don't know. That's it. Pretty boring. I sell real. I'm a business broker now, and I do some solar stuff, and I just get done helping everybody with floors. So I like fishing, fly fishing a lot. So.
Well, Chris, you mentioned wanting to get back to South Dakota and give back. And in case you're not aware, Dakota Alliance right now is looking to hire a director of referees. So if that interests you, there's an opportunity to come on back and maybe get a job.
Yeah, I mean, look, totally 100% open to it. If it's a virtual, I mean, I bounce back and forth. We have Allegiant Air, but yeah, I'm not quite ready to come back to Sioux Falls because I have kids. These kids, man, they got a school, they got a routine. It's a nightmare. I can't just be myself again. I have to be a dad, which is.
I don't think you'd want the pay for it anyway, but that's a whole nother story.
I want the power.
Here's a question. We'll just kind of segue in, but I'm going to let you set the stage. The videos, I mean, that was off VHS, so that's going way back. That wasn't digital. So give these guys on the call, describe your playing style. I know what your size and strength was, but give these guys a visual of you as a player at that level.
To do it, I think, especially for this, we all say, right, it's the uncoachables. You size and speed, you can't coach those. You can get better at them, and you can utilize some of your size. So I played it when I was in South Dakota. I was skinny, really skinny. Like I was 6'3". I probably weighed 175. By the time you saw me on the video, I was probably 195 to 210, depending on. I went up to 210, but I was 5% body fat. I was a lot heavier than everybody. So when you mentioned I was leading the league in fouls, I would guess it was probably my 98, 99 season. I was coming out there like, tight end kind of thing. I mean, I was just absolutely monstrous. So that coaches had to tell me to, I wasn't lifting heavy. I was just 210. But I was aggressive, in your face. I didn't take any crap. I was sensitive about it. I didn't like to hurt anybody's feelings, but I wasn't afraid to tell you I was going to kill you. I was going to take your legs out, and if you touch my teammates, you're going to go down. And they tested it once in a while, and I've done that my whole life. Like even refs, like take it to the ref side. I'll be like, "Look, you saw what he did to my boy, right?" And the ref would be like, "Yeah, I saw it." I was like, "You know what's going to happen now, right?" I was like, can you watch the left side, because I need to take care of the right side." So there is always that kind of thing at the pro level where the refs are like, "I saw it." So, if you've had a chance to ref some of these higher level games, it's coming. You see somebody cheap shot the number 10, and that center back is, he's going to get one on him, and you got to make a decision if he's, he gets a free lick or not. So that happened a lot. You saw that in the video a little bit where Diego Serna comes up. What he did was he backhanded me in the face. And he tried to dive, and I grabbed him by the back of the shirt, and I pulled him up because he liked to dive a lot. Miami, and I pulled him up. I was like, "Listen, bro, you're not going down this time." And I pulled him up, and the ref was getting sick of him diving all the time. So I pulled him up, and he didn't understand me. And then he hit me, and I popped the ball, and I told him, I don't know, probably just nothing. I probably just made a bunch of noise. But I was aggressive, good in the air. I hit my head on the rim. I had a long throw, and I would probably still challenge Chris Limmer, Chad, you guys that played with me. I don't know if I've ever seen a longer throw-in than I had. I don't know why I could do it. I didn't practice it. It was just the weirdest long throw-in you've ever seen. And
it was a secret weapon for us. I'll jump in there. He could take the ball at half line, and Limmer, you played with him too. You could take the ball at half line on a throw in, and it was a line drive to the far post. So
It was
60 yards on a rope. Incredible.
Yeah. So that was, I think that's what set me aside. I went to camps, and it wasn't that I was very skilled. I wasn't dribbling past people. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing when I remember the guys I played with both in Sioux Falls and Rapid City. And I remember guys better I think Sioux Falls, especially Limmer's group, like Corey Sinding and Paul Batchelor and those dudes, Jason Anderson, I think his name was, we had a good team. Like they had some skill. You know, I was only 15, 16 maybe. I don't remember how much younger I am than that group. And I played a lot of goalie for them, but that team was very athletic. Like it was an athletic group of players. Whereas in Rapid City that year, we had we had a lot of technical stuff. Ronnie Tice, I think, worked on a lot of smaller guys running around, and Scott Brink maybe and me were just about the biggest guys on the squad. But for me, that experience being that in your face kind of talker, you know, I still kind of like that. I've had to dial it down. Just because I didn't realize when I first retired from the league, you can't deal with HR issues in a company the way you did as an athlete. It's not like two guys arguing and then it goes away. Usually somebody goes and tattles, right? And then you're like, what? We had an argument. So the reffing thing for me is really that I think I've catapulted into that scene just because of my ability to understand that there's emotion and then there's dissent, right? And I think you have to be able as a referee to decide what's an emotional argument. Come on, ref. You know, that some guys you pulling your cards out every time they like, ugh. Like, yeah, you know, they don't like your call. Who cares? Like, if it's dissent, like you suck, you're a piece of crap, you know, or whatever these kids are saying. I mean, Scottsdale, it's really bad. Like I'm hearing stuff that I'm sure that is I don't even know. I'd probably send 8 people off the field just for the language half the time. But I think that's the level when I come down to ref, the ability to manage the players without making a scene has allowed me to do some finals. Like my first year refing, I get to do the high school finals, Brophy, and this is a big city, right? So, and it doesn't help that it helps that I'm 6'4", I tower over everybody. I'm like the giant ref, especially in the banana shirts that we get. And I like to wear them tight. Even though I'm a little fat now, I still like to wear my stuff tight. I don't want the loose stuff. So it keeps me motivated. But then I see pictures. I shouldn't wear it so tight, but I do. So.
You just finished your second year reffing?
No, here. So I just got into it. And they, you know, so I like centering better than ARing for sure. But the reason is ARing, I'm not fast, quick enough, right? I can't get going anymore like these kids I'm doing the high school age, right? So that center, I have a nice little pace to it, and I'm more involved with the kids. I work to wear the headset too. I bought myself the headset because I like to communicate with the lines, the ARs, you know, see what's going on. We can kind of manage the game a little better that way.
One of the questions that was sent in, Chris, was knowing your style of play, which was aggressive, strong in the air, strong on the ground. How does that translate into your referees?
Well, I think, you know, when you're, you know, it's interesting when I'm talking to, like, when I see, you know, guys that I played with like you, Chad and Chris, it's like, what was I like when you guys played with me, right? I was just a spaz. Like I could run. And what's interesting is the reason I started, and I'm answering this a long way. So soccer IQ became a thought because my kids are like, hey, what do you know about this? And they're like, huh? And then I started reffing, and I'm like, what do you know, ref, about the game? And they're like, huh? Well, the rules or the laws, or I'm like, that's not what reffing's about sometimes. The laws are one thing, but managing the game is another. Are you anticipating collisions? Are you anticipating problems? So the style I had to anticipate everything. You know, I'm playing against some of the fastest and best players in the country. I mean, and we'd always have, I played with Valderrama. I played with Roy Lassiter, and these are childhood, you know, guys that we watched in the ugly 90 uniforms, right? The denim jean stuff. All of a sudden, I'm friends with Alexia Lawless and Eric Winalda and these guys, and they're fast. Kobe Jones, super fast. Like, you can't stay with these guys. You had to anticipate things. So as I got better and more understanding of the game, I picked my role. I slowed down. I played simple passes, but I had to predict what was going on. I had to anticipate. And I think with referees, if you can anticipate the game, I know you feel like you can because some of you have been doing reffing so long, but anticipating the game when you know what's going to happen next, especially if you can read the coach, right? So my playing style was aggressive, so that allows me to let them play a little bit more. I understand a shirt pull is not going to ruin the game. I understand that a shirt pull, when you reach out, isn't going to deflect the game if he's going up against the top player. So it's helped me a lot, and I'm comfortable because I don't mind a player going, "Hey, you suck, Hauser. You're the worst ref ever." And I'm like, "Listen, dude, if I was a good ref, I wouldn't be reffing your game because they only give crappy refs crappy games. So you probably need to move up a range because I suck. That means you really suck." Right? So that's what I say to him. I'm like, "You suck. Too bad for you that you have to have me as a ref. Maybe if you moved up the ranks, you wouldn't have to deal with the ref." So that personality is like the small talk is easy for me. And it keeps the parents quiet, by the way, when they show that I'm not intimidated.
That's good stuff. Hey, we lost Chad. He texted me, he's getting back in, but I'm going to follow up with another question to talk about talking. We've had, you're the, I think, fourth in our series, and we've asked every referee this question, and that is talking to players during the run of play. How much is too much? How much is too little? Where's the line you want to navigate to keep them engaged, let them know you're engaged, but not just talk them to death to the point they're sick of hearing from you?
Yeah, I think that's so. Let me answer this by, and this is just some player just turned into referee, right? And I coached and stuff. So I also had an opportunity to coach assistant coach at Southern Connecticut when I first retired. I think referees, the reason you're either a good ref or you're a bad ref isn't because you understand the laws. As a player, that's not going to make you a better ref. Learn all the rules. Focus on it. Know the core rules. Don't so much worry about, well, it did this or did that. Most of the players, as we all know, don't even know, barely offsides. Like, how is he offsides? Talking about every dang call you make is annoying. If you're just calling, if you have refs or if you're a ref like that, I would say this is an opportunity for you to change, right? If you really want to go to the next level and ref guys like me that are going to say you suck, but I'm going to say swear words and you're not going to pull your card out every 5 minutes, because it's just like people just start making fun of you, right? So talking about, well, you touched the ball with your hand and you should probably not, and keep your hand down, and explaining your call is nonsense. Just nobody cares what you have to say. Make the call. If they argue, be like, well, the referee course is next week. If you want to take the ref course, we're short reps. You can make the call next week. What happens, where I think if you had an opportunity, if anybody that was ever on these calls saw me, had been in a game or watching a game while I was reffing, they'll come to me and say, "Man, you're one of the best refs we've had." And I think that's funny because I'm like, I don't really know if I made all the right calls, because sometimes I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, "Oh, did I miss that one?" I asked the player, "Did I miss that one?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, my bad." I said, "I'll see something soft. I'll make it up for you on the sideline," like that. So we're having these dialogue. So telling the players, like, look, this is your game, but I'm going to control it. So if you have a choice, at coin flip, I'll say it's your game unless you make it mine. As soon as you act like fools, especially the high school age kids, then I'm going to call the whistle every single time, and I'm going to be the center of attention, and I'm going to be told that I'm too hard of a ref. But if you act like a bunch of idiots, then I'm going to take the game back from you. So I think dialoguing and having conversation with the players is one thing, but explaining yourself as a ref, why did you call? Doesn't matter. No one ever explained to me. I'd scream and yell at the ref. What the, are you calling? And they'd be like, are you done? Are you done? Look, next time you approach me like this, I'm going to give you a card. But I would get fined if I had too many yellow cards. So I don't know if that helps, Tony, but I think we all kind of balance that depending on the game, right? But
yeah. And I will tell you, that's been a consistent answer is talk to them, but not too much and not too little. And that's kind of what you said, find the right balance. And I think, Kevin Messman's on. I know Kevin talks a lot, and I say a lot with quotes because he does talk a lot, but he gets a lot of respect from players, and a lot of the players that I know appreciate that because they get just enough, but not too much. So I think that's a great way to put it, how you put it, Chris.
Yeah, I look at it as a player. I'm not interested in the referees comment on certain things in the game. I'm just not. I'm not interested in, the arguments. We all have them, right? That was a foul thrown at midfield. I'm like, do you know? And you could go, well, the laws of the game say that 75% of every throw-in becomes the other person's ball anyway. So why don't, and then you just get into this know-it-all like stuff. I don't know. Depending on how high a level you want to ref, the short conversations are fine. Can I give you an example, Tony, of something so I got to ref the final in the President's Day Cup out here, which is a big tournament, and they put me at center. They were playing Barca, so it's the Barcelona's youth program, and some club from California. And if you've known me, nobody really knows me, but I don't pay attention to details a lot. I just show up, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm reffing these guys, cool, like this is neat. And so I'm doing the center, and the kid's like, hey, you're not a very good ref. And I'm like, oh, I'm not. That's cool. Like, this is final, right? And we're having this like 16-year-old, he's 16, I'm not, obviously. And I'm doing a good job. I'm on the game. There's like 400 or 500 people at the game. It was my environment. I liked the attention. And after the game, Barca lost, and they're all spoiled brats. He goes, you're not a very good ref. And I'm like, well, why do you say that? And he says, because, I was like, is it because you lost, or is it because I'm not a good ref? And he goes, well, you should have called the foul there. And so we're going on and on. But at halftime, I had asked the same kid. He was getting pulled, and I'm like, this is a President's Day Cup. So if you know the atmosphere, it's a college prospecting camp or a tournament. So you don't want coaches to see the kid get a call every single time. They need to know if they can play at the college level. So you need to let them pull a little bit. You need to give them a little bit more touches and hits, and go by and be like, look, I saw that. If you do that again, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it in the box. I don't care what you're doing. And I asked the kid, do you want me to stop him pulling? I said, I don't want to call this, because I think the college coaches need to see that you can get yourself out of pressure with that kind of with that much pressure, and you're actually being fouled. I was like, I'll call it because you deserve the call. He goes, no, don't worry about it. Parents didn't know what was going on. They're freaking out. Oh my God. And I said, can you just let your coach know that I'm letting this fly, and then maybe he can send over the parents? It didn't bother me, but those are the conversations I'm talking about. You see an elite player, you have to ask them, especially in there. And I'll just say this. When I was playing there, I was a better player, right? People didn't understand that when I was playing the Sting, I was 1 on 100 guys. There was nobody helping. So I would get frustrated. And some refs would just, I remember Greg Noel, or maybe he's on this call. He had it out for me, always complaining to me about everything, and threw a card at me. And I'm like, Greg, knock it, he red card me all the time. And what he didn't understand is I was frustrated because I was getting man-marked out of the game. I'd wanted to stay involved. I'd move positions. So if you're a ref, what I like about this is I can identify those players, and I can give them a little bit more support to get better. So I'm reffing to help the player get better, not to become a world-class ref. That's why I'm reffing, because I think different players need different refereeing style, and you can do that during these games. So
good stuff. Chad just got back on. I'm gonna make sure Chad hears this. Chad, one of the things he talked about in his pregame is he tells them, it's your game unless you make it mine. He talking about taking over the game. And Chris, I want to follow up with that question with, you said you're the captain of the B team. As a captain, what did you want to hear in the pregame from the referee about, what kind of what's he going to allow, not allow? Do you want to hear heads, tails, that's it? Or do you want to hear a little more conversation in terms of making that connection with those captains? Because we know we got to go to our captains sometimes for support to calm teammates down. And so how do we put those captains in our back pocket right out of the barn?
Well, I think, take the national team side away, because there was a different environment. But, and let's just kind of bring it down where I have at the U.S. team, that the U.S. side, you misbehave, it's very embarrassing. You don't ever want to do that, right? As much as I was a bad boy when I was representing the U.S., I tightened it up a lot, right? I'm friends with Clay Coyman. Clay Coyman was traded for me, and if you don't know who Clay Coyman is, he was a hack. I was not a hack, and I'll argue that all day long. He was a hack. John Doyle, too. I played the game. They just weren't as good athletes as me. And Clay and I have this banter. I'm like, he got traded for me. And I was like, man, Tampa got the better end of that. That was me, right? But that's our inside joke. So the coin flip. This is the difference between preparing the game in my opinion. When I was playing, I wanted to understand what the ref was looking for. Because there's a thing that I tell kids when I'm coaching them. You can't. You have to adjust. A lot of clubs get into this focus of formation. Well, whoever assigns referees, you don't get to choose the formation of the refs, right? Two might show up. Maybe it's one good center and two 80-year-olds at a U17 game. That sucks for the players, right? Well, bad players can't adjust. They'll just yell, "Oh, the ref isn't with us." Well, he's freaking 80 years old, bro. Like, you can't hold a tight line. He's 80. You can't. Men's League puts this guy, I say this because I'm telling you, I'll video it and I'll send it to you. He's literally 80 years old, and he's reffing U30s, or whatever you call it, the over 40s or 30s or whatever. And these guys are flying. And this guy's like, and I like the guy a lot, but I'm like, why does he keep getting these games, right? And he's just doing it for extra money. So what I want to tell the kids at the center, and let's just take it at the high school level, right? Because little kids don't care. That was usually the parents' issues, in my opinion. The high school kids, it's like, all right, this is the coin. Okay, I'm going to flip it. Great. Let's talk about this. We're about to play soccer. Is your team prepared to play soccer, or am I into this? Am I going to have to babysit all 22 players today? I said, I really don't like babysitting. It's annoying. I said, let's just play soccer. The little nonsense comments, we're going to put those in check. And here's what I expect from you. I have the 13-year-old girl on the AR1, and I have the 85-year-old man on AR2. So if you're going to bitch about the ARs, do it now, okay? One just started, and one has been doing it a long time. So he's going to be more, the 80-year-old, he's going to be more helping me, and the 13-year-old is going to be just getting the feel. So adjust your game. And then if I have a problem with your player, I'm coming to you first. And if you can't solve it for me, I'll solve it for you and him and your coach. So you just let me know. I said, but you're a captain, so it must mean you have some sort of responsibility and you're capable of managing your team. So I'm counting on you first. Anything that's really talkative and we need to talk a little bit, I'm gonna ask that you participate, because you're the leaders. I'm just the ref. I'm just here to keep everybody safe. And that's it. And that's all I say in whatever situation it is. If it's the final, it's like coaches are here. I said, do you want to misbehave? You can go. I said, I've already been there. And sometimes I'll mention in bigger games that I played in the MLS, and that I could actually see you play, and you might get a look at a college. So I got a little bit edge on that. So sometimes when I see that the game could get hot, I throw that card. Not literally, but I just tell them I played in the MLS.
What do you do when you start to lose the captains? Typically with our captains as our safety net. What do you do when you start to lose the captains?
Then I've only had it happen once to me so far, where we out here, we have sometimes we have language barrier. We'll get two teams that are only speaking Spanish. I'm in the middle. I'm like, and I'll make some jokes. I'm like, what are you guys, do I need to learn Spanish here? Like, what's going on? Like, are you talking about me? So we'll have some jokes. But if I lose control of the game, I don't engage any players. I blow the whistle, and I stand there for a second, and I pause, because nobody knows what the heck I'm doing, right? So I pause, I blow the whistle, and I stand there, and I pause for a minute. And then I go, captains, I need you. And I said, by the way, the clock is running. I'm not stopping the clock for this. This is getting out of control. I get them in, I bring the coaches in. And I say, look, this is going to be quick. Either you get your stuff under control, or this is going to be even a question of a call, I'm going to be calling it. Because out here we get massive brawls. We get bench clearing nightmares. So we have to run it really, really tight. We even have those in high school. So, I think getting the coaches involved ASAP, and if they can't sort it out, then my watch just might run a little fast, and that game will be over sooner. Because it's not. I don't think it's my job to manage a game for 45 minutes and then have everybody fight. If they want to fight, but then I'm not going to go in danger for that. So and I think that's the common language from referees that I'm working with out here. I'm working with Ellen, and I have a mutual friend out here that is representing the U.S. part of things. And we're not in the job of mitigating people's risk. You want to act like fools, the game's over. There's just no reason to let it run anymore. And it's across the country now. There's just too much nonsense. So it's not our job to like pull the game back into soccer. If they want to fight, we can be gone. Just collect their money and leave. Let them fight. And, you know, that if that's what your question was. I mean, that's how I handle it. I'm here to help the game. I'm not here to babysit a bunch of people.
Good. Chad, did you have more stuff? I didn't have the list of questions.
Yeah, no, I got a couple more that popped in here. What has been the biggest challenge for you having played at the high level and now putting the referee hat on, and how you see and approach the game differently?
I actually like it better. Like I was playing that when I was a kid, right? When I'm in my 30s. I mean, when I say kid, I mean I played till I was 30 years old. I like the game because I don't care the result. Like I don't know how you guys feel as refs, and that's something I'm going to continue to learn. But I go to the game, I don't care about who wins or loses. I just want the game to be played. You know, I want them to play hard too. I'm not one of those coaches that are refs that get too worked up about, you know, if the parents don't like how the kids are playing, as long as it's not dirty. Some games will be physical than others. The biggest hat or the challenging, the change for me from playing to refereeing is the way the referees interact with each other. And I don't want to, I'm just going to say this because this is what I do. I just always say it. And then, you know, I'm not really going to apologize, but I definitely don't mean it in a bad way. I think a lot of the problems that referees have in these tournaments, I've been to a lot of them. I've reffed a lot of games. And to give you an idea, I just want to give everybody an idea. In Scottsdale, we played 10 months. So I could probably do 20 to 30 games in a month. And that might be, and that's, there's tournament after tournament after tournament. I could do more games. You could just do games all the time. So I've reffed a lot of games, but I haven't been doing it very long, right? But I've interacted with a ton of different refs. And the way the refs engage with each other is what's been the hardest for me. Is the referees complain a lot. I was like, the players, the coaches, the players, this kid should do this. And it's not like progressively thought out. It's not like we're trying to get better. It's looking for a problem. And then I've seen refs that overreact to parents. You know, I don't know if it's a control thing, if it's I'm just annoyed it's late in the season. I said, for me, because players will complain about something, but then it's solution-based, right? It's like, okay, I didn't like this. How do we fix it? And there's a coach involved in correcting the behavior, where I think refs, once you get your license, you just kind of go freelancing, right? You kind of get your jobs and you have a little training like you guys are putting together, but you get the game anyway. You know, you could have 2 terrible games. You're still going to get games next weekend. Whereas your player, you're on the bench. So I think that's one thing that I've noticed, and it's not a complaint. It's just, I don't know. Personality is different too, right? Players don't really want to manage other people, but that's been the biggest thing for me, Chad, is just the interaction between the referees is definitely unique compared to interactions with players.
I'm going to piggyback that because this question was thrown out too. Why did you want to give back to the game like we are as referees instead of coaching? And I think you mentioned you're still doing probably some coaching with your kids, but.
Yeah, I think that's so. I don't see what I feel like. So this is how I feel. I don't feel like, so the first thing is I'm participating in the game because it's something that I really wanted to always be really good at. And so for me, being part of that evolution of a player into reffing, it doesn't feel like I'm giving back to the game. I mean, I am, but I still think the game has to give back to the refs. Like I'm looking at it now as a ref going, when is the game going to start giving back to the refs? When are they going to start understanding what we're doing out there? I mean, and if I get off topic or kind of drift to the right, Chad, remind me what the question was. But one of the complaints I had about reffing to the people like, oh, why are you reffing now, not coaching? You could make more money coaching. I'm like, yeah. So the first answer is I can impact more players being a ref. When I coach, I only have 16 players, and I'm just babysitting them, and I say that in a nice way. Like parents kind of drop them off and you kind of manage them. And college is okay, but I like having a family. I like being around my wife. College coaches and pro coaches. I could have been a pro coach with my college roommate, Mike Pecky. If you haven't followed him, he was at the Red Bulls. And then he was at Real Salt Lake and had an anger issue or whatever. But what I'm hoping to do, and I probably won't get anything done, but I'm going to try. And I've been talking to Alan Chapman about it, is how do you get a referee to do 5 or 6 games in a weekend and paying him $25 on the AR? And then, asking them to do repeated stuff. So how do guys like me that have a little bit of a voice say, we're helping you get better, coach. And here's how. If we have a crew that understands that you're playing flat in the back and the other team is playing sweeper and isn't holding a line as tight, how are you going to teach these kids to play the right way when the refs don't know what the heck's going on? And because of the shortage, you're having people that don't know how to ref or manage the game, and they're being stuck in situations where the flow is different. It's not just boom ball, right? Reffing boom ball is easy. They kick it this way, you run to this way, and you run your angles, and they just boom it back and forth. When you start getting players that are passing the ball, moving it, and you're trying to stay out of the way, but you want to have a visual on the ball, and then they play along and switch it. If you can have a core group, it doesn't have to be a really fantastic group of refs. But if you understand that before the game, let the game kind of play out. The reason I can help is that I can help manage. That's why I got a headset with the kids. They wear the little thing that's weird, but they wear it. I'm like, I don't want to wear it. I was like, you're wearing it because I want you to understand that they're pushing forward. And if you're falling behind, I want to remind you, staying with the line, because I want the players to be able to understand concepts about squeezing the line when the coach tells them and dropping off and keeping that game tight that we all understand. If you don't know how to do that as a ref, the game gets out of control, right? And we've all seen that happen. So that's why I'm reffing, because I saw an opportunity. I was sitting there complaining about the players not reading the situation. And some parent says, yeah, the referees stink. I'm like, they don't really stink. And then, and then by the 10th game of the weekend, the ARs are tired. And I realized they weren't able to compress the game. And then that's when I told my son, you need to adjust to the refs. You can't just adjust at halftime by complaining. So that was my mentality of getting into refereeing, because that's what you have to do to make the game better. The kids are already better than we were ever. How are we reffing? How is this group of people reffing that's all in here? Some of you watched the game for 20, 30 years. When I played in the MLS, our shirts were baggy. Now they're fit, and you can see they have muscles, and everything's changed in the game. But the refereeing needs to start changing, and that's kind of what I saw was if we're going to have a World Cup team that's going to be phenomenal, we're going to have to juice up the referees' soccer IQ, not just their laws of the game. And every ref wants to know the game really well. I mean, I don't know any ref that doesn't like soccer. So what cool is it that you have a guy that's from South Dakota that can call? You want to make me make a phone call to somebody? I can probably get them to answer the phone. That's pretty cool. I mean, so that's why I'm doing it.
Well, I'm not going to lie, Hauser. I laughed hard last fall when you started your I'm going to get certified to referee and put that on Facebook, because all I could think of was, damn, this guy used to cream people all over the field, and he's going to come to the dark side with us, and we're happy to have you. I know I enjoy it. I have a front row seat to a great game every time I go out.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps bringing me back, along with some of these people that are hanging out on the call, that camaraderie of it.
Hey,
what do you think from your perspective? I want to throw this one out there because this question got asked. Style of play from when you played, the style of play now that you're watching it from the referee perspective. What do you think the biggest difference in the game is that's changed?
Should I? Okay, so are we talking like the MLS level stuff or the youth stuff? Like, what do you think that question was about?
I'm going to have you approach it from both.
So
the youth style when we played versus the youth style now, and then even the pro style of the game when you were playing to the pro style now.
So to me, it's my kids are involved. And I think anybody that I know on this call will agree that we played because we wanted to play. We wore the same jerseys every single year for 15 years, never got new kits, never. Man, my shirt, I got mad one game, I ripped it. Like, I was like, oh. And I was like, oh, it was like when I first started getting strong, right? Before I'd just pull my shirt and it'd be like, it wouldn't rip because I couldn't get enough pull on it. I ripped it right down. I had to play the whole game with like a V-neck. My mom sewed it, and I still have it. It's hanging in my son's jersey. We didn't get new uniforms. I'd be like, okay, guy's gone. Now it's like every year, new uniforms. My kid, I'm going to be on podcast talking about what you want to do as a pro. And he's like, you're making me feel bad. I'm not on the podcast. I'm like, well, every kid in the freaking how many kids wish their dad could give them 3 or 4 pieces of advice that could help them, and you're worried about what laser gun you're using for Fortnite. So, but they want $3,000 a pop per kid now, and the coaches are coming up with all these concepts and blah 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 blah. You meet anybody in the locker room in the Tampa Bay Mutiny, they came from nothing. You didn't have a lot of silver spoon players playing in the big leagues. They had one choice: be athletic and get out. That's how it's approached. It's approached because I want to be there. So when I grew up, we wanted to be there. We played in the rain. We played in the snow. We did everything. Now they're canceling everything for everything. You touch somebody, there's a phone, there's a call. Parents are out of their loop. That's the difference. My mom sat there and watched me like get crushed once in a while because I deserved it. The pros, I just use the example of this. There's a reason why we didn't make the World Cup last year, because we're soft. We're soft. Alan Chapman is an MLS referee of the year because he's not soft. I played with the guy. He's actually a hack. He thought I was bad. This dude was over the ball. He is a crazy person. I was like, this guy's actually, I never thought he was a good player. And he played my men's league. I'm like, this guy's just hitting people for no reason. And then all of a sudden I return on the TV and there he is, and he's like kind of gotten the same reason I did. But they're soft. They're millionaires making money doing nothing. At least Pulsasek, whatever his name is, scoring goals in Chelsea. But, they're just soft. They're soft. They're spoiled. And if you look at the national team that had the Tony Meola days, the days where I was in the pool, these guys were out there wearing ugly uniforms, like denim jean shorts kind of thing.
And one's the best kit ever. Kit ever. Worst.
It is so bad. There's nothing good about that kit. But they wanted to be there. These guys are different. And you know what? The being 47, reffing, I have a huge voice in this community, Nick, right now. I really do. I have the voice because not a lot of guys that played. I think I'm one of maybe 2 or 3 in Arizona that played the MLS or refs now. I know I'm the only guy in MLS and reffing in the South Dakota world, right? The opportunity for me to get involved with such a the refs need to be cool now. It's time to make reffing cool. It's time to make reffing what it's supposed to be, not a punching bag and not a what it's perceived to be. The excuse market, right? I've just nailed it out. I'm like, you really want to know what your problem is? You don't know what you're talking about. I just did some floors for my buddy. I realized I don't know how to do floors. I have a hammer and I have glue, but I screw his floors up and I shouldn't have been doing the floors. Reffing is different. Reffing's the same way. You might think you know the game, but it is a totally different perspective when you're what's interesting, you can't be late. I was always late to games. I was late to practice. You can't be late to the ref thing.
Every time late for practice. Every time.
Late. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I am never late now. It's fantastic.
I'm going to open it up, Tony, if you will. Anybody that's on the call that has some questions. The ones we threw out were some ones that came in ahead of time or today, but just open it up and chat a bit here.
Yeah, it's just unmute yourself and you can jump in and ask Chris any question you want. I heard him just say, make refereeing great again, is what I think I heard him say.
I think there was a question. I'm looking at the chat, Chad, real quick. Do you want to – was that a question? Oh, that was a question, everyone. Do you want to play JUCO or D?
I think that was reference to your it's your game until I make when you're talking to these kids about getting to the next level. I think that came in right when you're talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think to that point, real quick, from a soccer's perspective, I think even when I was talking to Chris's son, Chris Limmer has a talented soccer player, and he was trying to inch his way into the pros. It doesn't matter the division. The question that you want to ask these players is, are you committed? If you're out here to really play at the college level, no matter if it's JUCO, Division 1, 2, 3, it takes a level of commitment. And if they're out there jerking around and wasting your time, then you'd be like, don't bother me with these questions. Tarek Noor was a perfect example. If anybody knows Tarek Noor, great player in the state. His dad's like, his mom was like, bubble wrapping him. I got him out here to this JUCO thing. I got him out to the Real Salt Lake Academy. Put him up for a week free. Flew him out here day 2. I'd love to have him on this just to call him out. Perfect. I mean, you're playing on a golf course. I mean, it's perfect. U20 national team players are on the squad. Tarek comes out and he's like everybody from South Dakota in the winter. You're just winter fat, right? It's cold. So you're not really that super fit. And he comes in, everyone, oh, and he comes out and he starts crying. This is too, the fields are too wet and too this and too that. And I'm like, well, pack your bags. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, pack your bags, because this is a free opportunity for you that everybody wants, and you're not really, and you're crying. You're literally crying. I'm like, your dad is not that kind of guy. So pack your bags. Let me take you back to the airport. And he was freaking out, right? I'm like, you're not ready for this. You're talking about all this stuff to do, but you don't want to do the results. You want to blame the refs, right? And that's the cool part about being a ref. It's not our fault that they suck. It's not my fault you suck, right? You're not good. I could give you every call. You're just going to kick it over the goal anyway. The reality as a ref is you can tell the kids, it's not my fault that you missed the shot. It's not my fault that I let the play move on. You dribbled 16 times before you got tackled. It's about time that you pass the ball. Those are the cool things I can do as a ref because I know what I'm talking about. So the JUCO Division 1, the question really is, how committed are you to the game, and how committed are you to taking this to where you can? Because it's not like it used to be where you just, buy some shoes and, kick the ball. So.
Matt Reedy, I'm expecting a question from you, sir, because you're new to this referee game just like Mr. Hauser is here. So I know there's got to be something in your wheelhouse here.
Absolutely. I was just writing it down. This actual chat has been awesome. It's to see the perspective of somebody that's played soccer, and as a parent that had a son that was playing soccer, I didn't have a clue what was going on. Wanted to know the rules of the game. That's the reason why I became a ref. And to hear the perspective of a player this is awesome. But so with that said, as a parent, I really didn't know anything about the game. So I took the classes to be able to learn about the game. Ended up falling in love with reffing. My son is probably one of the most physical players out there. So, I mean, he goes 100%. If I was reffing the game, I'd probably have yellow carded him. He's actually a U12 player. I probably would have yellow carded him about 3 or 4 times. Hasn't happened yet. But what advice would you have for me as a parent that really doesn't know a lot about the game, learning the game, love the game, to help me better as a ref?
Well, cool. Nice to meet you, man. I think there's let me kind of pencil this out in my head. So addressing the parent thing, right? So you're sitting on the parent, you're starting to know the laws of the game. And to me, it makes the game more enjoyable. I would have to imagine when people are getting fired up and you're like, well, I can kind of see where they're coming, right? So it's kind of, that's got to be helpful from a referee's perspective. When you notice for your kid, right? He's a physical player, and from a coach's and a player's perspective, that was a physical player. I think I will say, having him probably becoming a ref might help him understand the difference between maybe being aggressive or physical and actually being an enforcer. Because I was that guy. I was not a dirty player, but I was able to make you feel a tackle legally, right? And I think that's something that there's not enough of in the U.S. for players from that standpoint. From a referee standpoint, I think asking questions with other referees, and I think these kind of things where you have a perspective from me, I mean, what a resource, right? I mean, if it was me sitting there, I would be like, wow, this is cool. Like, I didn't even know this guy Chris Hauser was around, which is probably true. Like, for some reason, I fizzled away into the soccer archives, even though I'm the only MLS player from the state. I was ranked the top player ever of South Dakota by U.S. Soccer, yet my name is like silent. It's very bizarre to me because when I was a kid, and I probably Limmer and Chad too, would have been really nice to have some resources while we were investing all this time and energy. So from a referee's perspective, I think the way you can continue to grow is when you step on the field. And I don't know what kind of person you are, Reed, right? It's like, I feel like when you have this confidence, depending on what level you're reffing, right, is being anticipate. I think anticipate what could happen will make the calls a lot smoother and more digestible to the player. Maybe this will help. For example, you see two players running, you see one kid that's throughout the game, he's jumping and spazzing and turning his back, right? One of the favorite things kids do is they run right, and then they turn their back and jump into the player. They go up and they try to, they don't go up and cover themselves. Like if it's, like this and they face it, or if they're a guy, they just cover up and they just take it in the face, right? That's how you should do it. If you're going to run up somebody, you got to take it, right? You don't turn your back. You see them, they just cover up, they move their hands. If you see that behavior, you can address it before it happens. Dude, I see you keep running into that guy. If you just keep doing it, I'm going to have to card you. I'm not giving you another warning. You're going to hurt somebody. If anticipating the call, I told you 6 times I was going to do that to you. I don't know if that helps, but as you start to learn the rules, think of how do I manage do you even take it? I've even had people ask me before, and I'm like, I don't know how many kids you have. Do you have more than one kid? How do you manage that at home? So I don't know if he bounced off. You might have lost him.
Yeah, I have more than one kid. Only one kid plays soccer, but
yeah, it's like that. I don't know if that helps, but and what I've learned too is kids hate their parents. They're like, if you ever ask a kid, like, you got that one parent, like, what kind of ref are you? You suck. You're the worst ref ever. And have a complete conniption. And then you kind of go to the captains. You're like, whose parent is that? They just ask them, like, whose dad is that? Mom. Oh, that's your dad. Oh, you mean Jimmy's mom? She does this all the time. I'm like, well, tell Jimmy's mom she's annoying. Does anybody want me to card her? And they'll laugh. Yeah, card her out. She's annoying. Like, if you're like, doesn't that, you have to listen to that all the time? Those kind of conversations will help the play. I'm just new to ref. I'm new to reffing. So if I miss something, my bad. And by the way, I've done this. I don't know if anybody else has done this. If you haven't, this is a great idea. I miss calls all the time. In the men's league, this guy's belly was hanging out, and I swear he handballed it because there was just no way it hit his gut. Or no, I thought it hit his gut and actually hit his hand, and all the guys were like, oh, what are you doing, ref? And I was like, I don't know. He hit it with his gut. And he goes, it was a handball. I was like, look at my angle. Come over here. And you see his gut. I'm like, do you think I saw that? Like, no. I was like, okay, you get a free handball later. And so as long as it's in the same part of the field, don't give them a free kick that's on top of the 18 if it happened at midfield. So I missed some, and I'll be like, okay, I got it. And I'll make like a soft call up, just because I want my relationship with the players to be trusted. That's how I trust it. I'm like, when refs talk to me, they instructed me to stop. They told me what they were looking for. And as much as you do that, the players will help you ref the game, in my opinion, if that helps.
Right. To kind of follow up with that. So one of my biggest downsides that I think as a ref is this will be should have been my second season, but and for outdoors. I have not given a yellow card or red card or whatever yet today.
Mhm.
And I know that I should have on a few occasions. As a player, I have seen some things that probably deserve that. I have addressed it verbally, but do you think as a player you would rather see the ref give a card to try to?
Yeah, so I will tell you the most uncomfortable point of when I first started reffing, everybody knew that I didn't think anything is a foul, right? Nothing's a foul. Like, I knocked him over. He's small. You can go into, if there was Facebook, you'd find hundreds and hundreds of pictures of me doing stuff that should be called, that didn't get called, or stuff that I did. It's kind of like I was constantly making the ref's job hard, right? What you're doing is you're giving the players control of the game. And if you were reffing my game at 16, 17, Chad would probably defend this in Limerick as well. You would be so annoyed with me by the end of the game that you'd be like, I hate reffing. Because I recognize you're not taking an authoritative position. Just because you show yellows too much, that doesn't mean you're in an authoritative position, in my opinion. That just means you're an annoying ref, right? You ever heard the term, the ref wants to be the center of attention? That's the worst nightmare for a player, is the ref that just wants to talk about how great his yellow card was. And you're getting a yellow card because you know how you did that one thing and then the other thing. And everyone's like, who cares? Just give him a freaking yellow. Let's get going. Like, you got a yellow. Dude, don't get another yellow because you get red card. They know that. But you got to, when those yellow cards come, it's going to establish who you are as a ref, right? It sounds like you don't want to do it or whatever, but I think when those situations happen, a yellow card is just, think about it this way. If there's yellow cards that aren't being served, it's somebody that could get hurt. And the little bit, it's like your kids, right? You can go swim now, and you turn around, they're jumping off the roof. And you didn't say jump off the roof, said you could swim. Like, the kids just keep taking, and the coaches are the worst. The coaches, when they see that you're being a soft ref, they're going to eat you up like candy. They're going to be like, dude, ref ain't going to call that. Just freaking give them another one. And depending on what level you're reffing, that's what's happening. That's what the players are thinking. How can I get away with this? And the ref Reed, he's not going to throw cards around. So Hauser, put a little one on Tice, put a little one on Chad. All right, cool. And I'm going to get away with it. I'm like, dude, Reed, you haven't given me a yellow card for anything. I mean, a guy almost took his knee out, and you didn't give me anything for that. Now you're going to give me something for the soft little tackle. And what's happening is you let those 2 or 3 things go. And now the big one comes, you pull the card out. Now you've got a freaking nightmare on your hands, because now they're going to argue every little one that you didn't call. Does that make sense? That's how a player's thinking.
Okay. Thank you. Awesome.
We've had you for a little over an hour. Anybody else have a question for him here?
I got a question for you. So you seem to have a very good understanding of when to be a little bit more relaxed with the rules and when it has to be taken seriously, or you let them, you allow for when it's time to stop and time to get serious and time to step in to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. What are some telltale signs you look for when it's you're having fun, now it's too far, now I have to step in and stop? Then I become the authoritative ref where I step in. And then when you communicate, are you always communicating at on your way to go talk to someone, or are you doing it during active play and trying to have a conversation with them?
Okay, so if I miss you're in and out, Cody. It's okay. So if I miss something, just text me or whatever too. So the first part is, I started the conversation with anticipating. So when you're a player, you have to anticipate what's going to happen. So here's how my mind thinks. I'm a center back. I give the ball to Valderrama. The ball goes forward. It goes to Frankie Haydock. Frankie Haydock it's bouncing all over the place. And most players will do this. Wow, this is cool. Look at him pass. Look at it. Whoa, woo. And you're watching, right? That's the normal behavior of a youth player. When you're playing at the highest level, you're like, What would happen if Valderrama doesn't get back? What happens if Frankie Yallop made this overlapping run and he can't get back? What if his ankle, you're always thinking about what could happen next. So when I ref, you're thinking, oh, wow, this is going on. Transition, boom, you're running, right? You're like, oh man, I wonder if I'm running good. Do I look good in my yellow shirt kind of thing? And you got all these things going in your head, right? Well, you're probably, a good ref won't be focused on what's going on the ball. When that ball launches, what you're doing, Cody, is you should be looking around, seeing who's like, hey, pound sand, bro. Like the stuff that they're trying to sneak behind your back. That's why I like the headset. I'm like, is that guy behind me being cool? They're like, yeah, he's kind of mouthing off. And I won't even look at him. And then they'll come by and they'll say, hey, I heard what you did. I don't like it. Don't make me look bad because I'll make you look worse, right? I'm married. I know how to do this very well. I always look bad. She's always the right. So I'm always looking for what could happen next. You know what I'm talking about. Those two girls that are like, nah, nah, right? That's where it starts. And then you'll always find out that there's going to be somebody else that's going to jump in or something's going to happen on the side. So as things kind of, there's what we call when we played, which we called fielding the storm, right? Even at Southern Connecticut, we were the best team in the country, but there were times where we couldn't get out of our own end. And as a player, remember that. It's like now we have to focus on just getting out, and let that storm happen. Well, there's always that moment in the game where things are going to get out of hand. And then everyone's going to look to you. It's kind of to the point of when you just show a yellow. If you've been soft ref the whole game and now the game is amped up, you're going to lose control when that happens, right, Cody? So what you need to do is in passing. I saw that. What do you mean, ref? You know what I mean. I don't want to talk about it. I got other things to worry about. You do it again, you're out. Something like that, right? In passing, not making a spectacle, especially at the youth level. It's all about embarrassing, right? Jimmy says my shoes are pink and he doesn't like them. And it's all this sensitive stuff that these kids are all into. Like, can't just in passing be like, I saw what you did. What did I do? You hit the kid off the ball. I saw it. I didn't want to call it because you were to interfere with the game that's going on. It's off the field. Then he starts getting you, long blow whistle. Like, hey, knock it off. Told you once. And then I say a little bit louder, and I'm always thinking about embarrassing him to his parents, right? Right? I'm like, I'm going to embarrass this kid now. And now he's making my life hard, and I don't want to be out here anyway. It's my fourth game. So I'm always thinking about, if I don't deal with him or her, how am I going to deal with the next person that does something worse? So if I can keep everybody on this, to me, discipline is embarrassment. Parents, I had a parent. You'll love this one, guys. And if I didn't answer them, I apologize. Dad's freaking out. Hey, and he speaks Spanish. He's like, hey, ¿qué pasó? Oh, and he's standing up and he's waving his arms. Oh, he's a little short guy. He's like, oh, what the hell? What are you doing? Right? And his accent was great. It was, and that's the stuff I really loved as a player. And he was going on and on and on and on. I'm telling you, it was one of those parents. You're like, is this? First of all, if you step back, you're like, is this guy ever going to stop? So I stopped. I'd be like, hold the ball. I was throwing. I said, hold the ball. And I stood there like this and stared right at the guy. He's doing this. What happens with all the parents? They're looking at what I'm looking at. So now the whole sideline of all the parents that sit on the same side are all staring at him going like this. I didn't say anything. I just stood there in a yellow tight shirt. I'm always, he sits down. Didn't hear a word from him the rest of the game. Because what's more embarrassing than me and him engaging with each other was his son was sitting there watching me stare at his dad acting like an idiot. So that controls when you're reffing and you can control the parents without saying anything. You're like, players, you and I are in this game. Parents, they don't know what they're doing. Just they're your entourage. Just make sure they bring the orange slices and take you to Burger King after the game. They don't know anything else. Bring their lawn chair. They're going to yell all game, but they're going to yell stupid stuff. Boot the ball. Why are you? Come on, ref. It's out of bounds. If you show that you're in control without arguing with the refs, I found that to be the most beneficial way to keep control and know when to step in. Because you can, if you have that mindset, right, you can go, look, player, I thought we were on the same page here. Now I got to argue with the ref and with you, and it's just stupid. And you got a nicer jersey than me. I'm wearing that. So that's how did that help, Cody?
I always make sure that like anytime there's a big ball or a pass that goes to an attacking third, if I know I'm in a position where I can't check my back, I always make sure to check my back. But so when you do your communications, it's always a quick like game, and if it's a serious conversation, it's always during a game.
So first one's passive. Hey, dude, knock it off. Second time I go up, I'm like, hold on, Cody, what's your problem? I told you once. I didn't want to talk to you about it. I told you knock it off. I trusted. Now you're not doing it. So now I'm going to stand here, and everyone's going to know that you and I have a friendship. Okay? I give him a fist bump. I'm like, don't do it again. If he does it again, I'm like, is there any question? Are you having a hard time understanding what I'm saying? Do you understand this? This is called a yellow card. The next one comes out of this pocket, which is red. And this makes my life a lot easier because your team will never get the ball again. And I'll just stand on this half of the field because I'm tired anyway. So you pick. Do you want this yellow card or do you want to shut up? And then you move on. You have to play. The other thing that I recommend any young ref to do, and I've tried all of them. I've tried being a smart ass. I've tried is you can't argue when the ball's in play. If you don't want an argument, ball's foul, play. Come on, ref. No, I don't have time. Hurry up and play. I want 10 yards. You don't need 10 yards. You're half field. Shut up. 10 yards. Back up 5 step. Okay, he's good. Play. But I want 10. You're not getting 10 right now because I don't have time for it. And he's just going to play it short anyway. So why do I need to give him 10? If you're tired, tell me, and I'll give. And I'm tired too. But I'll just tell the guy I never walk 10 off unless I really, really have to, because I want them to understand. I know what 10 yards is. I'm not walking them. Back up. That's 10. I'm not a jerk about it. I'm just like, come on, it's 10. It's not if it's in a scoring position, then I'll count it off for them. But then you know what their number one complaint is, Cody? My legs are longer than the other refs. I'm like, what kind of argument is that? Like, oh, sorry, you want me to take smaller steps? You want to walk it off for me? No, so I'm constantly talking to players. I'm like, come on, man. It's 45 minutes. The guy's probably gonna kick it over anyway.
And I'm just gonna jump in real quick, Cody, just to kind of bring us back around. Chris can pull it off with his personality. You have to find, and each of us as referees have to find what works for us, because you might say the exact same thing he does and it blows up in your face, where he can pull it off. Or I've got some doozy lines I'll share at another time with you, Cody, that
Big boy soccer.
And I do think
big boy soccer. Yes.
I do think it's right that when I'm talking about this stuff, you take what I'm telling you and then you put it into your own stuff. The point is they don't deserve a conversation with you. It's not because you're being a jerk. It's because they don't think about you. If everybody on this thing played the game before, there's no long-winded conversations in soccer. Pass, run, hurry up. What the heck are you doing? Come on. You're not having a dialogue. And sometimes, for some reason, they think the refs are interested in like explaining the laws of the game. Well, ref, no, just play. Shut up. Play. You don't have to be like that, but play. I don't want to just play. Play. No, play. Someone else want to play? Like, that's all I would say to one of those players that won't leave you alone. It's if you don't engage with them, you're going to be fine. As soon as you start talking and explaining stuff, I think you run into problems. That's my experience as a player. If I found a ref that over talked to me about the laws, I would talk to him for 5 minutes just to be annoying. So.
Good stuff. Anybody else, Chad? Anyone else? I'm going to tell you, I put all your quotes on the chat logs. Folks can read them again. I love the "It's your game unless you make it mine." I love the "You can't argue on balls in play." That is so true. If who cares if it's 9 yards or 10 yards? If you say play and the ball plays, the defenders no longer care about the wall. They now are playing defense. So that is fantastic. And there's no long-term conversation in soccer. That's one thing I get caught up on too often is over-explaining some things, and it's dumb. Just don't do it. Just do it. So I like the play thing. Chad, anything else? He's probably.
I'm going to try here. My internet's locking up. They're working at the end of the street, and so I'm having all sorts of issues. But Hauser, I have this for you that will come in the mail.
Oh, is it a sticker?
It's our state patch.
Oh, yes. So I'm telling you, I will ref not in COVID because I don't leave the house, but I'm just kidding. But I'm always open to reffing in different places that I can go, and it'd be cool to be in South Dakota and ref some games. I use this for exercise. That's another point to that. If I have 5 seconds, is I got reffing because I was getting fat coaching. I'm like, all I do is bitch at the kids, come home, complain about the parents, stress eat, and just I'm like, whoa, this is bad. So when I got my reffing, I was like, okay, I want to do 15. I did 15. I have the watch and the Apple Watch, and I get about 15 miles of kind of this light jog, and I can tell when I hit that. I mean, my buzzer has to go off. I literally just take a dive, like energy level. But I did get it for exercise because I was like, I don't really go to the gym.
You did say orange slices and BK after the game. So I mean, maybe the BK after the game is where it's getting you.
Well, burger now or whatever it is.
I'm back now. My internet is back. This is our patch, if they said that. We wear it for our high school games. And on one of the referee forums, they asked everybody to put their patch up. And we got a ton of people from all over the U.S. Oh, you guys have a cool patch from South Dakota. So I'm going to drop one of those in the mail for you, buddy. Get it on your way.
I'll leave with this, guys. I've always been, and I've chatted, especially with Chris Limmer. Chris knows that since when I left and got in college, when I went to college, I played college in 1995 to 97, went to the pros, and after that it was blah, blah, blah. I've always been trying to figure out how to be more of a resource to South Dakota soccer community. It's really fallen flat. I mean, I don't know how Limmer feels, but I ever since I left, I've been trying to do camps, trying to work with Dakota Alliance. I don't really know what's going on Rapid right now, but I've been trying to do things. Steve Burke, is it Steve? Somebody in Houston, Huron or somewhere? Steve, Hub. So onesie twosie things. I've been trying to stay involved with the youth community and soccer in general, and it has not gone well. Not bad, just kind of one off. So I kind of said, okay, this Chad or whoever's in charge of all this is something that I have it's nice to know that we have an AR out of Watertown that's doing some MLS games. But as you probably know, talking to him, there are some times where he's out of the loop as well, what's going on with the MLS Pro stuff. So Alan Chapman, but I have all these resources, and this is the only thing I'm doing in soccer. I don't coach my kids. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm just reffing, and it's not going to be good enough for me just to ref. It's going to be, I want to be able to talk to young guys and maybe some older guys that are reffing that are like, I wonder what guys like Hauser are thinking. And it's not that I know anything more or less. It's just that what resources, I mean, look at this Zoom meeting on refereeing right now, right? There's no reason I couldn't have help with certain things. It's just, I just want to extend the fact that I'm not frustrated with the lack of utilization of my experiences. It's disappointing. So hopefully this is an opportunity to stay more involved with the soccer community because it's not working with the at the player side of things. So.
Well, I can promise you, and I probably speak for Chad when I say we greatly appreciate your insight as a player, but also as a referee and how you've melded the two together. I thought it was fantastic, and I have heard of you. I didn't play with you, but I played the same era back in the day. So, but really well done, and I really enjoyed your insight to everything. Chad, anything else you want to add before we wrap this thing up?
Last thing I'm just going to add is, on a personal note, Chris, thank you. We hadn't talked in quite some time, and when I reached out, we spent almost 3 hours that first night on the phone just hooking back up. And so I appreciate that you haven't forgot us, and those of us that knew you certainly haven't forgot you. So personally, thank you. Just to touch base with the group on here, we're still doing this monthly. Next month, we have Katie Nesbitt has signed on to do it with us. We figured we needed to get a female on here instead of just all the testosterone. So she's a FIFA. She refed at the last Women's World Cup, so that'll be a new perspective for us. And Chris, you're in our South Dakota Soccer Ref group on Facebook, so feel free to join in on these calls as well too. If we can give you some information to keep making you a better referee too.
Look, I'm probably I don't know if I'm probably the newest ref of the group actually. So yeah, I'm actually just trying to become a better ref as well. I forget their laws a lot. I'm like, oops, I forgot that was a rule, right? Some of these laws I've read, I'm like, I didn't even know that was a one that, you know.
That's because when you were a player, all you knew was goal kick, corner kick, throw in, and there were no fouls.
There was no fouls. I mean, that was obvious. I mean,
Chris, do you have? You said you have a blog. Do you have a blog that you do, a referee blog or a soccer blog that you can advertise?
so if you, I would highly recommend. Not because it's mine. I'm getting paid to do any of these things. Soccer IQ I started, and it's because of COVID. It's been a really, really interesting opportunity for me to talk about what players, I think what the kids need to be doing while we're in injury, right? This I'm calling this the injury. You just tore your ACL. What do you need to do if you're a top player to stay a top athlete when you can't train? And that's what COVID is, right? But really what you'll start hearing on that, guys, and I would spread the word, is when I do games out here, it's probably sometimes a little higher level and a higher competitiveness, and they're putting me in these big games. So I bought all these weird mics. I'm into this mic thing, but I got a mic that I wear on my jersey now, and I'm trying to figure out how I can I tried living up, so I had it live for a while, but I don't talk. I mean, I'm not trying to be obnoxious. I don't sit out there and like, jabber, 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 jabber. I only talk when I need to, and then I just try to melt into the game, right? But I want to start talking to the players and talking to the kids and talking to the coaches and the parents, and just really talking to them about, you know, what's going on in the game. And then when something irritates me or something fun to talk about, I'll have a lot of cool guests. I'll have like, you know, I'll be able to have guys that play in the league now, coaches, you know, I'll have some of these guys, household names, that'll join, and we'll talk a little. It's going to be fun. I hope it's not just, so how was the game today? You know, Frankie Hayek, like, you know, it's going to be more like, what have you been doing off the field? And I'm getting used to this podcasting. So Soccer IQ, I think it's on most of them right now, and it just started. So you might not see new episodes for a little bit because I've never talked to myself. So maybe, and I'd love to have somebody from here too on it, like maybe a new ref, an older ref, somebody that's been around for a while doing it. Be like, what is your experience when soccer was this and what it is now? It's really just about, you know, a place to kind of get some, you know, some one-liners that you can use. You know, the delivery is always going to be different. If you're young, you can't say an old guy's joke. It won't work because it's just not funny, you know. And an old guy can't say a new guy's joke because, you know, I get called a boomer. I guess that's the new one. My son calls me a boomer because I don't know how to Fortnite it up or something. So I thought boomers were my dad, but what do I know?
Great stuff. Chris, thank you so much, man. It's great educational, and we love obviously hearing folks, and even though you're a quote boomer, I don't think you are, but whatever.
When you're old and don't know how to do cool stuff, you're just a boomer. Like,
I gotcha. Well, I tell you, we've got Mike Watson on here. He's probably the oldest guy on, and we've got Cody's probably the youngest, and there's probably 40 or so years difference between the two. So you hit a big span of our referee crew.
Did any other guys ref me? Has anybody refed me? I know Chad didn't.
I reached out to Don Torrenti. I don't know if you remember him, Hauser. He was the base guy that had the little Hitler-looking mustache. He's the state director of assessment and national assessor out of Virginia. He was going to try to join, but thought it might be a little late tonight. But he remembered reffing you.
Greg Noel. That's about it. Isn't it funny? I played so many games, I can't remember the refs ever. You know, I'm like, I remember Greg because he just did not. He called my girlfriend ugly during a game. Like, your girlfriend's ugly. I'm like, you're looking at my girlfriend? That's weird. You're old.
Greg Stone called your girlfriend ugly?
He did. He's like, Chris knows what I'm talking about. Greg had it out for me every single game. I remember one game, and I know was I with you, Chris? I literally didn't even go on the field, and Greg's like, here you go, just because you're getting away. reputation preceded
I'm
you.
going to use that. I'm going to get it back for you. Okay. Don't you worry. Chad and I golf with him regularly. We're going to get you back. We'll get your back, Chris. Don't you worry.
Wife is hot. Okay, Greg? I have a hot wife. So there. Yeah, he called my girlfriend ugly, and I was like,
That is awesome.
for being myself, I was like, maybe she is ugly.
Chad, anything else to wrap it up, brother? What's
Got
your
nothing else. Just
website? Sawyer Soccer IQ, Chris?
On podcast, it's like, I think it's on, I don't have a website for it, it's just a podcast. You just do it on, I think it's on like all the platforms like Spotify and all those things.
Okay.
On our website, we've got a resource thing where we've been taking these videos from the chats and dumping them on there. So I'm going to add a resource thing for like podcasts, yours, and any other cool ones we find. So they won't be as cool as yours, but we'll get it linked on there.
Yeah. Just a disclaimer. I like Greg Noel a lot. I just, I don't know what happened, and I deserved a lot of what he would give me anyway. So I will tell you, he's probably in the right, and I was only a kid. But I do remember his full name, which is bizarre.
Great stuff. Okay.
Chris, thank you again. I'm going to give you a call, not when we're done here, because my wife has dinner that's been waiting for 2 hours that I need to get in my belly.
Cool. Well, get it in your belly then. I really, thanks, Chad. Honestly, thank you so much for pulling me in on this. You know, as much as I've done in the game, it's still always nice to talk to people from back home. And that's it. So thanks, and keep me in the loop. And I'm open to any questions. Feel free to share my I don't know. I guess if you, I think the easiest way to do it is just be my friend on Facebook, and then you can message me or whatever.
And hopefully when this Rona lifts, we can get together and get you up here for a tournament or something. It'd be fun to bring you back home.
Do some adult league too. That's gonna be fun.
Absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us. We're gonna stop the recording here in a second, and we'll download it. We'll get it on our Facebook page and our YouTube page at South Dakota Soccer Referees, if in case you didn't get to see all of it or you want to come back. And for those that are watch it after the show, Chris was fun. I mean, what a down-home guy. Just really brought it down to the human level. It's awesome. So. Unless there's anything else, Chad, we're going to shut this thing down. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we'll see you in the next month for our next referee blog. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, love everybody.